Okay, so I screwed up there and accidentally turned the camera. But to finish off about the 12 apostles, all of this math that you think is not important, it is absolutely the essence of why you shouldn't gamble. The math demands that you don't win. You just think you can. You can't win. You're throwing money away. If you want to gamble, do like I do. I love to play poker. I think it's a cool game. I use matches. I use shells. I use, anything but the money. Now, I'm not obsessed with money, but I do see people wasting it when they don't have it. I've been a victim myself. I'm not being all pure and holy here. I'm just telling you that in this day and age, you need every goddamn nickel you can save. No matter what you think, it's a harmless fight. It is not. It is awful. It leads people into terrible fights, terrible domestic violence. You see people there shivering at the bar, putting down their last $20 on a stupid odds that they cannot win. If they put all those hours at the casino and all of that waste of money down the drain, they'd have some money in the bank. Now, you can't tell people that because it's my right. Yes, it is your right. It is also your wrong. It's your wrong. Spend your money wisely. Do some good with it. You'll feel so much better than how you feel. And this is why I grinded this guy this morning. Every time I see you, I'm going to shove the ace of spades in your ear. Every time I see you saying, I'm only going to the casino just for the show and to look at the girls. No, you're going to play cards and you're going to lose. Now, I can't whine and berate you often enough, but I believe now that when you go back to the casino, anyone who's watched this will always be looking over their shoulder for Jesus. My joke is this. I went to a party one time and I saw this guy dressed just like Jesus. I mean, he looked white robes, the whole thing, and he was talking to people and having fun and laughing. So I walked over to him and said, Jesus! And he looked at me as if to say, what? I said, I found Jesus. And he said, what did you say? I said, well, you're here and I'm here and I found Jesus, right? And he said, well, were you looking for me? And I said, well, yes. Of course I was looking for you. And he had the audacity to just tell me well, what did you want? So I just said, forget it. And I walked outside and I said, what a dick. He's supposed to... So that's my joke. But it's not a joke. I'm riding with Jesus every day. I use his power. I use his... They're great. I'm not going on a holy roller rant here, but I'm going to tell you this. The Quran, the Muslim Bible, or their version of it, it mentions the Prophet Muhammad twice. There's another name, Ahmed, which is a brief version of Muhammad. So they mention the Prophet Muhammad 3 times. They mention Jesus Christ. This is Allah, from Allah. 78 times. Why is that? This is why. Jesus was the first one to come along and say, one God, man, equal justice, neither borrower nor a lender me. He hated gamblers too. He went into the temple where they were all money changing and he booted all the tables over. He booted them over and said, you're not doing this in my Father's house. He's a bit radical on that part. So they went to the Romans and said, this guy's ruining our gambling or our betting and our changing money. And you got to kill him because we can't kill him because he's a Jew. So they said, we're not killing him. Why would we want to? He said, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just doing nice things for people all over the place. And they said, yeah, but he's causing trouble. I said, well, he's doing good deeds left and right. What do you want to kill him for? Because last time he was in the temple, he booted the tables over. Everybody's money got mixed up, and now they're all fighting over the money. And plus, if we're all fighting about the money, we can't pay you the vig. Well, the Romans were charging a vig to the Jews. It's an analogy. Get off it. So that's my point. The Romans said, we don't want off this guy. He's not that bad. He's doing good. But we're going to have to. And so they took the contract, and that's why Jesus was taking a dirt nap at that time. But then he rose again. You know the whole story. My analogy is a little bit bizarre. I know. Just hang in there with me. So getting back to the Quran, if Jesus is mentioned to the Muslims, they call him Messiah, Messi, something like that. The reason the Quran is so revered is because it's written in a language, an 8th century dialect. It's so beautiful, it rolls off your tongue, it's like a song. It's called Umma, U-M-M-A. Now, most people don't know that because they don't even care to study the Quran because they say it's the Muslim. The Muslim is revering your Savior. He's in his Bible. Now, I'm not talking about the radical Muslims who do the opposite. They say, you'll kill all the Christians, the same as we did in the Middle Ages. We went to the Middle East on the say-so of our Pope, saying every Muslim you kill will get you a closer place in heaven. It was wrong. It was only about 5 years ago that our church apologized for it. But the Muslims still believe it. It's like, we did this. We went to the Middle East. We looked for all the Muslims. They were gone, hidden. They knew we were coming. And so they locked themselves up in these great castles and compounds, and we couldn't get in. And so we went around looking for ones on the outside. The first ones we found were a bunch of Jews who had been converted to Christianity. The Crusaders killed them anyway. It's like, that was the mentality. And so the mentality is as solid and as unforgivable and unforgiving as the gambler's creed. He believes that he is right and the laws of God's green earth are wrong. So unless he modifies his behavior, he's always going to believe that. You want me to tell you some more hair-raising stories about the Bible? I'll do that in another time. But right now I'm going to log off because a friend of mine, Big John Separate, he's a brilliant astrologer, by the way. And if you ever want your chart read, and yeah, I do know something about astrology, and I do know that it matters. And I think even Jesus was into astrology. You can condemn me and mock me and do whatever you want, but this is what I believe. So next time you go gambling, remember this, the odds are against you. The stars, Big John Separate, are against you, right? And that's the end of that. But I'm going to roll into this other thing about writing a book or putting a book out if you want to. How easy it really is now with a new paradigm, with a new technology. You can do whatever you want. So my son comes to visit me, Sefton from Santa Barbara, and he brings me a little gift. And it's this. It's a book. It's a handmade book. Now, in the next segment, I'm going to read it to you, because that's why I bring up John Separate. He's always asking me to read books put your books on tape. So I'm going to do one of my books on tape today. It's a book of verse, and it's not like reading a whole book, but it is a good few poems, and I think you'll like it. So here we are. I'm going to end it here and say thank you, John Separate, for starting this to happen, and now it will. And the next segment, I'm going to be rolling on the book itself.